рассказать про отношение к инвалидам. После инцидента на дороге человек стал инвалидом и теперь живет в доме. И везде в доме есть спуски для кресла. Человек управляет машиной, машина переоборудована для инвалида. И все сделано для инвалида. Это далеко не люди второго сорта, как это принято считать в России. А они все те же люди, они также хотят жить. В России это дело очень запущено.
Right, now the red light's on.
How many years do you know each other?
Peggy was 16. I was 19. Peggy was 20. Yes, I was 23. Got married, and now I'm 57. What about it?
When you bought your first house?
I was still in college
Yeah.
when we got married, so as soon as I graduated, we put a deposit on the house, and that summer we worked for the next bunch of months. It was being built, so we couldn't move in, so we bought it in like May or June, and we were supposed to move in September, and we had to save a lot of money in that time, so we spent like no money on anything. One day a week. One day a week, we allowed ourselves to go out for breakfast to like a fast food place and get pancakes. Yeah. So we could afford that house. So that's how we got our first house. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to fly, but Mike won't let me.
Yeah, we got lost.
Like skydiving?
No, she doesn't.
I would do that.
She doesn't.
I would totally go sky. Have you gone
Did you turn off
skydiving?
the GPS?
You have. It's
Did you
awesome.
turn off the
Very well.
GPS?
It's also the best thing what I ever
My goodness. Oh, yeah. I would totally go skydiving.
Tandem, you can do it. It's not a problem.
Oh yeah, I know. I know. I just, he won't let me. I'm Peggy Beatty. I live in Delaware.
How old are you?
I'm 54.
Okay. No, you live in Delaware all your life? You was going to grow up here?
Pretty much Delaware or very nearby Delaware.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell me please, what happened and when you became disabled and what age?
When I was 27, we had a really bad car accident, and I became disabled with a spinal cord injury and paralysis at about armpit level. So.
You was alone in the car?
No, the whole family was in the car, and at the time I was with my husband and my son, who at the time was 10 months old, riding in his car seat. And my husband was severely injured, and I was severely injured, and our son in his car seat was fine. He was absolutely fine. So, thank goodness for that.
Life doesn't stop for you after this.
No! I was a mom. I had things to do. And I was 27. Did I say I was 27 years? Okay, I was 27 years old. And I had things to do. I had plans. I had a job. I was a mom. I had to raise my kid. I had to take care of my family. So, I fought my way back.
You never give up.
Yeah, I had tremendous support from friends and immediate family and extended family. But no, I wasn't going to give up. I wasn't done. I was in the hospital for 3 months. And then I had several surgeries, and then I went to a rehabilitation hospital for another 3 months. And then I came home and I had in-home rehabilitation for, another 3 or 4 or 5 months. I went back to work after about 8.5 months, but I went back part-time. And then even then, it took probably a couple of years to get stronger and stronger.
What kind of support does the state or government?
If you can call it a good thing, my accident happened in 1991, and just a few months after my accident, the United States passed what they call the Americans with Disabilities Act, which required facilities, any public facilities or, state facilities, hospitals, stores, malls, anything, cities, to make them accessible, to make the places accessible to people with all levels of ability or disability. So that was ramps and curb cuts for blind people, braille signage, restrooms, so that, when you go out in public, that's sort of something that people need that you might not think of, but it's very important. Able-bodied people.
What about financial support or something? I mean, what benefits do you have from government?
When I was first injured, the biggest thing that I got from the government was that they helped me purchase my first accessible van so that I could drive myself. So I had a van that had a wheelchair lift on it and hand controls. So they paid for that, and they paid for some driving lessons so that I could learn to drive with the hand controls.
It was easy for you?
It actually is like learning to drive the first time. It's just, normally you learn to drive with the pedals, and I already had been driving for many years, so it was just a matter of getting used to the hand controls. They're really not that difficult. It's just different.
What about some medicines or financial support?
I was very lucky. Before I had my accident, I already had a very good job with good benefits. So most of the benefits, my medical benefits, including, any medicines or therapy I needed, was covered by the insurance that I had through my place of employment. I mean, we had to pay some part of it, but fortunately I still had a job, so I could.
Well, where do you work? It's hard to find a job.
Again, I already had a really good job, and I was able to go back there. I wasn't able to do the same job that I had been doing, which was working in a laboratory as a chemist. But they found a similar job in the same business where I was able to do something that was much more computer-based. I was running some analytical instrumentation to sort of test the chemicals rather than actually working and making the chemicals. I've still been with that company. It's with DuPont. And I am still with that company. I'll be 30 years there next year. And I've had a very interesting career path there. From the job I just mentioned when I went back running the analytical instruments, I did some more jobs that were more computer-based, developing databases, some computer tracking. And then at one point, where the project that I was working on ended, I got on a new project where I did have to go back to work in the lab, and they built me a lab. They had, they actually sort of refurbished the lab to make it accessible with lower counters and a lower hood. So I worked in there for several years. Since then, I've gone back to a more computer-based job where I do more administrative work, but now I manage budgets and equipment maintenance, and I'm in charge of some service contracts and a few things like that. So.
How many disabled people work with you or in your company, not only with you, in your company?
Oh my gosh, well, my company is so huge that I couldn't even answer that. And
But you have some co-workers.
I don't have any co-workers immediately with me who are in wheelchairs. I know there are 1 or 2 people on the site where I work, and we have about 2,500 people there. So I don't know everybody. And keep in mind that not all disabilities are obvious. I am aware that there are a lot of people where I work and throughout DuPont who have hearing issues or vision issues that you might not be aware of unless they tell you. And some other people, a lot of disabilities are not visible. Mine just is very visible.
What about on the streets if you stay alone know somewhere if you need some help, the people trying to help you?
Most people are very helpful. Yes, yes. Very often, if people see me struggling, they'll run over and offer to help. At other times, if I'm struggling, I'll wait for somebody passing by and call out to them and ask for a little assistance. And I've never had anybody say no. They're always drop whatever they're doing and run right over to give me some help.
Okay. And your husband all your life next to you?
Yes, my husband's been
Support
Just-
number one.
tremendous support. And yeah, after the accident, he said we were not going to let that stop our living. We were going to keep doing things. So we've traveled, and we've done some tremendous things, and held parties and had lots of friends and go out. Yeah.
Do you, do you use some medicines right now, or do you need some? Or do
No,
you
I'm
need
lucky
nothing?
that I don't.
You
Some
need nothing.
many disabled people, like I said, there's so many different disabilities and they do, but no, I don't. I'm very stable. I just need the mechanical assistance of the wheelchair and my special van so that I can ride it.
Do you have a license on your boat, or just your
No special license on the boat.
No
That's
special
right. I drive the boat, and the boat's a really neat thing because the boat's hand controls. So we didn't have to do anything special with the boat. I just need somebody big and strong to lift me up and put me in the boat and carry me out. And so for that reason, I have to be very careful not to put on too much weight. Yeah.
Do you try this swimming or somehow life jacket or?
I've gone swimming. Yeah. Sometimes I go swimming out here in the pond when it gets really hot, and I've been in a pool. Yeah. People with disabilities tend to be very creative problem solvers because sometimes we have to find different ways to do what we want to do, and sometimes that leads to some pretty interesting ways of finding to do things, but pretty much nothing's impossible if you put your mind to it.
Do you have a hobby? What do you do when you have free time?
This neat attachment for my wheelchair, I call it my bike, but it's sort of a rowing motion, and I like to do that. That's what I like to do for exercise. For a hobby, I like to drive my boat. I also like to read, and I have some birdhouses out back, so we take care of the birds and track those and learn about them. My hobby used to be raising my son, but now that he's all grown up and moved out, now I just worry about him. Yeah, I've gone kayaking. I like to kayak. What else? Silly little crafty things. I like to make friendship bracelets, stuff like that. Yeah. I like to travel. Traveling is fun. Traveling takes a lot of careful planning, but it's still a lot of fun. Sometimes we travel locally and we take the car, but yeah, we've been to Europe a few times, and to California a few times, Florida, Texas, lots of other places I want to go.
States.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have some special groups for disabled people? You go some special place with
I don't.
other.
I'm not members of any groups like that.
Yes.
I know there are groups like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And, yeah, I just haven't
You don't need it.
gone out of my way. Yeah, no, I keep plenty busy with my family and stuff. Although things like that are helpful. All right. Thank you. Thank you.